Hello and welcome. This is Self-Control, How to Build a Better Life, the podcast that will inspire you to take control of your mind and your mindset to go forward and build the life that you want to live, the life that you deserve to live. Practical tips, mindset shifts, activities, behaviors, ways of thinking that have served me, have helped me strive for better that I want to share with you. Things that you can add to your mental health toolkit and something you can take with you on your journey of becoming. Today's episode, I want to talk about one activity that I started over 12 years ago that has changed my life. Perhaps I would even say it saved my life. That is weightlifting. And I want to talk to you about who I was before I started weightlifting and who I became after and what it has done for me. We'll talk about all the benefits of weightlifting, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the objections to weightlifting. So if you're looking to improve the way you feel, improve your health, improve your overall outlook on the world even, if you're looking to improve the way you look, the way others receive you, weightlifting or some form of resistance strength training can, I believe, do that for just about anyone. So if you're ready, if you've been thinking about maybe starting weightlifting, if it's something you've been kind of on and off with, if it's something that you're curious about, let's talk about it and let's get lifting. So first and foremost, as I say, weightlifting sometimes has this connotation of being in the gym with the gym rats and having a pump iron. Really, resistance training can take many forms, and I would say if you're curious about starting some form of resistance training, look into it. You might find that body weight workouts or just rubber resistance bands just at home or in your apartment can be a great way to get started or a great way to achieve the goals you have. I'm not going to tell you what you should want out of weightlifting. I'm not going to tell you how to weightlift. And with the obvious caveat here that if you, for some reason, physically cannot do that kind of training, perhaps you can still take away a little bit of the moral of the story in this episode. So let's talk first about who I was before I started weightlifting. So lately, I've been doing something very, very interesting, something I wish that everybody could do, and that is I'm going back through all these old videotapes I have of myself from about 2008 to 2014, so 10, 12, 15 years ago, and I'm able to see who I was when I was 20 years old or younger, and it's really very illuminating to now see who I've become, at least who I think I've become, and who I can clearly see who I was back then. Looking at the footage of myself and my friends from before I started weightlifting, so let's say the spring of 2011 and earlier, of course, pretty skinny, slouchy. Also, I really noticed a very nasal voice, not speaking with the throat, just a sort of, I was a young boy, and you can really see on me just a lower testosterone and just a lack of oomph, if you will, a lack of putting myself out there. I was slouchy. I didn't speak clearly. Like I say, my voice was not strong. And when I think back to who I was in those days, I was someone who was very introverted, very repressed. I didn't express myself upon the world. I didn't want to be seen a lot of the time. I was afraid of what others might think. And I think ultimately I saw the world as something that was there to hurt me, a place where I could be judged, a place where I could be crucified. Believe it or not, weightlifting really, now that I think about it, was the first step to getting out of that way of living. So as I say, I found the world a scary place, a place that could hurt me, a place that could judge me. And I think I presented myself as somebody who had low self-esteem. And I think that's very common for us when we don't feel good about who we are inside. We quite often then project that out onto the world, and we assume that the world is a place that doesn't like us, that others don't care for us, that others are judging us, or vice versa. If we witness a lot of negativity out in the world or in the behaviors of others, we internalize that and see ourselves as a product of a messed up world. And of course, the world, and when I say the world, I mean society, culture, other people, the systems that are going on around us. Of course, there's horrible violence and things that happen, but day to day, if you're focusing on the negative that you come across, then of course a lot of that's going to be internalized, and you're not going to feel great about who you are going out into the world. So let me just say, if you're somebody who maybe is socially awkward or socially repressed or who doesn't like to engage with other people, and if you have a negative outlook on the world and a negative view of how things are going, weightlifting, believe it or not, could be the first step towards snapping out of that and becoming an optimistic person and feeling good about life going forward. And so if you are a man or a person with functioning testicles, testosterone is the thing that makes us who we are. Just quickly reading off a list, of course, it contributes to muscle development and strength. Improved body composition, right? More muscle and less fat is easier to achieve with more testosterone. Increased energy and vitality, right? You're going to have that get up and go. You're going to want to go out into the world if you're increasing the testosterone in your body. Generally, your libido and your sex drive, right? It's going to be higher. You're going to want to partake in that kind of behavior. You're going to feel alive. You're going to feel the need to procreate. Mood enhancement. Bone health, cardiovascular health, and cognitive function. So nearly every part of our body, bones, heart, mood, mind, spirit even, let me say, are improved by raising our testosterone levels. And I do think weightlifting is probably one of the, or any form of resistance training, right? It doesn't have to be in the gym pumping iron. Any form of that resistance training is going to start to improve your testosterone level, and you're going to see major changes in who you are over time. And so when I think about who I was back in 2010, 2011 versus who I've become now in 2023, I haven't done the blood work. It'd be funny if I did and then none of this was true, but I have to believe that my testosterone has been thoroughly raised. My testosterone levels have been improved as I've been doing the weightlifting, and I feel all these differences, right? I have more muscle, I'm stronger, and let me say, when you start to weightlift and you begin to get stronger, a lot of activities that you currently enjoy become a lot easier. You know, even chores around the house, riding your bike, you know, picking up your wife or your girlfriend or your partner, picking up your kids, following your kids around. Life gets better when you're lifting weights and boosting that testosterone. Now, this may be coming off a little bit more for the fellas, and when it comes to women, I can't really speak directly to you or for you, but I guess I would say that, you know, a common objection to weightlifting for anybody is that you're going to get big and bulky. You're going to lose the form or the physique that you have that you like. It's simply not the case. I think a big part of weightlifting is you need to set goals and you need to, right, like create that portrait of who you'd like to be. And if in that goal you include, well, I don't want to lose my waist, I don't want to get gigantic shoulders, then simply put, you can tailor a program to, you know, burn fat more, put a little muscle on where you'd like to, perhaps the legs, right, the back, and not become this gigantic blob or brick house of a human. So I think weightlifting maybe has these misconceptions that it just makes you into a He-Man, and that's certainly not the case. I believe that resistance training of any form is truly for anybody. And if you tailor your goals to what you want to look like, to how you want to feel, you can no doubt achieve them. So if you're going into weightlifting saying, well, I don't want to get too big, or I don't want to get that big, then as Arnold Schwarzenegger famously said, don't worry, you won't. And so another huge benefit of weightlifting is the opportunity to set goals, to create a picture of who you'd like to be in the future, and then work towards that, right? If you do want to get to a certain size, you know, perhaps you were like me, slouchy, kind of narrow-shouldered, no chest, big legs, but not much of an upper body, then you can create a picture of who you'd like to be, and through weightlifting, you can begin to build that body that you like. Or if that's not the case, if you just want to put on a little bit of muscle and maintain that and still be sleek and svelte like a swimmer, then that's possible as well, right? Like there's no one size fits all, and there's very few things that I would say I would recommend to anyone, but weightlifting is surely one of them. And so the chance to set goals, to fulfill goals, to be disciplined, to be consistent with something, all of those on their own, you know, feed into what will be your improved self-esteem, your improved self-image, right? As we know, the more work we do on ourselves, a proportionate amount of payback comes to us. The more we work on ourselves, the more we put into our lives, the more we have to show for it. Again, when it comes to this idea of self-esteem, self-confidence, when you begin to undertake this work, when you begin to put your time into yourself, you will slowly over time, and for me it took years, you know, it wasn't like I started weightlifting and stopped caring what other people thought, but it was a step in the process where you begin to realize, hey, this is me I'm working on. This is my life. I'm putting my time into me. Nobody knows as much about me as I do. Nobody puts as much time into me as I do. So Why should the opinions or the words or the thoughts of another person about me matter? They have no idea who I am. In a sense, they're really just seeing a projection of something in their mind, and they're imagining 99% or more of what they think they know about me. Let me tell you that resistance training, committing to fitness, it will boost your self-esteem, and perhaps you can take on that mindset shift that I just mentioned of realizing that all this time and effort's going into me, I don't have the time to incorporate the thoughts of others. And of course, another common objection to weightlifting is, well, it's scary. I don't want to have to go in the gym where there's these big behemoths who can lift 500 pounds and have to weasel my way to the weight rack and lift the 10-pound weights on my first day. I don't really want to pay the money. There's no gym nearby, whatever. There's endless amounts of objections. Let me simply say, you don't have to go to the gym, and you can get all the information you could ever imagine online to start weightlifting or to start resistance training, even with body weight exercises, right? Push-ups, pull-ups, body weight squats, you name it. Your body's heavy enough, maybe too heavy. You might as well use that to your advantage if you need to. If it's a problem of intimidation, I can tell you that in gym culture, and actually I have not lifted in public in many years. I'm set up to lift weights in my basement, but my memory is that the majority of people who are lifting at a gym in public have little interest in belittling somebody else who's there trying. I think more often than not, they'll just leave you alone and ignore you, or they might strike up a conversation with you. You might find it a good way to meet people. And truly, when everyone's in the same space, really lifting, and their moods are all elevated, it can be a hell of an energy in there. And in fact, it may be a social opportunity for you. Now, again, if all this sounds like too much, I would say just start quietly in your own room, in your own apartment. Get some resistance bands, do some push-ups, get a kettlebell. You can buy dumbbells. You could, hell, if you have the money, you could pretty much buy anything you need and set it up in your house or in your garage or, somewhere with a friend, whatever that looks like. There's always an objection to starting something, but I do believe, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, the more I think about it, weightlifting saved my life. It was the beginning of my journey towards becoming a man, to not being afraid of the world, and to putting time and effort into myself and building myself into somebody that I'm quite proud of today. And when I see myself in that old footage from 10, 15 years ago, I still love that guy. I still think about all the things he's about to go through that he doesn't know about. And I see somebody who was in some small way pursuing what he thought was right. But I have to thank my good, close childhood friend for getting me into weightlifting and for keeping me in it. And like I say, there's very few things that I've done in this life that have made such a difference as weightlifting. So I'd like to pass that on to you. So I hope this helped. I hope you will think about weightlifting. If it's something you've been on and off of, go do it. Go hard on it. 3 days a week. 2 days a week, right? If it's something you're scared about starting, you can literally start it in your own bedroom, away from the watchful eyes of anybody else. Just be safe. Don't go too heavy. Read up on the proper form. Don't be afraid to ask for advice, and don't push your body beyond what you're capable of, and don't hurt yourself. And I assume no liability if you do. But in all seriousness, give it a shot. If any of this is connecting with you, it could be the beginning, or it could be another step in your journey towards a better life. So until we speak again, please remember that better is possible.